Good morning to all of our viewers around the country. Welcome to Hollywoodbets Greyville. Welcome to the Gallops for the 2022 R5 million Hollywoodbets Durban July to take place on Saturday the 2nd of July. I'm joined in the studio by Rahil Radhakrishna. We're both up a lot earlier than normal, but what a beautiful morning here in Durban.
Absolutely, Graham. There is a chill in the air, but it's all wonderful. We are for the Gallops. And I'm interested to see who does gallop extremely well and to see the times as well of the gallops. And of course, you'll see your fancy, hopefully, heading into the Hollywoodbets Durban July on a Saturday, the 2nd of July.
Well, the first horse is already out on the track, and that is the horse with the best Durban July CV in the history of the race, and that's Do It Again. He's already on the track, and he'll be galloping over 1,600 metres on the turf with his big race rider, Elder De Meyer, in the irons. And Do It Again, winner of course in 2018 and 2019, is one of 5 runners from the Justin Snaith stable. Beautiful pictures of the Moses Mabhida Stadium coming through. It's a beautiful morning here in Durban, and here is the horse that is looking to rewrite the history books. No horse has ever won 3 Durban Julys. Many have won 2, none have won 3. But he contests this year's renewal of the Hollywoodbets Durban July with that in mind, looking to become the first 7-year-old since the 1940s to win it. He's currently trading with Hollywoodbets at around 12 to 1, and he put up a fantastic trial when winning the WSB 1900 in convincing fashion. And Rahil, we were commenting off air, this horse grows another leg in KwaZulu-Natal.
Absolutely, he loves it. He loves it around here, Graham, and I think especially once he gets off the float and he's in Summerveld, he knows that he's here to race. He's here for the big season, the big occasion, and he needs to rise up. And Do It Again is a smashing individual, as you mentioned, 2-time Durban July winner. And in your opinion, do you think he can make it 3 times? And
he's my top choice. Call it sentimental if you like. I'm looking forward to this gallop because I've been preaching Do It Again leading up to the race. He's twice won it. He's run 3rd, he's run 4th. As I said earlier, no horse in the history of the Durban July, and this is the 126th renewal of the Hollywoodbets Durban July this year. No horse has a more impressive CV than Do It Again, and he looks so well. He really looks so well. I'm looking forward to seeing how he moves. We'll be joining Craig Peters in just a moment. He'll be taking us through the gallops this morning, and of course he's cracked the inside gate of number 2. Remember, the saddlecloth number is exactly the same as the draw, so when you're looking at the saddlecloth numbers, that is where your fancy is drawn as well. But this horse looks in terrific shape. 1 of 5 runners from the Justin Snaith yard. That in itself might be a record. Between Justin Snaith and Mike de Kock, they've got half the field. Justin Snaith 5 runners, Mike de Kock 4. And as you can see, it's almost like Do It Again feels, I'm at home this morning. I'm here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. This is my favourite course. We're watching Safe Passage and Aragosta. Now Mike de Kock has decided to pair up his gallops. So the second gallop will feature Aragosta, the SA Derby winner in the red and yellow colours, with Warren Kennedy aboard, and Safe Passage, the Daily News 2000 winner, with big race rider Muzieni aboard. And they'll be going together, as will Sparkling Water and Almuthana. But let's get up to Craig Peters, because Do It Again is starting to warm up.
And Do It Again indeed is starting to warm up as that sets off in the first of our gallops for the R5 million Hollywoodbets Durban July. And look at him as a 7-year-old, the son of twice over. He's working lonesome, and he's working from the 1,600. We will give you times from the 800 to finish and the 400 to finish. And wow, isn't he just throwing out those front legs, really enjoying it? The evergreen Do It Again. Currently on offer at 12.5 to 1 at Hollywoodbets is Do It Again, Justin Snaith, Elder De Meyer. And of course, as you've heard, he's going for his 3rd victory in the big one. Do It Again is by twice over and is owned by the Johnson, Cantor and Nancy Hossack. And we'll start off from gate 2. Look at that side view. He's stretching out beautifully. Is Do It Again. Just taking a look there, I don't think Elder has got a whip. I'm just trying to see if I can see a cropper whip, or he's working without it as they're about to turn into the home stretch, and they'll come off that dole with about 400 meters to go. And here he comes at the 400 meter marker. Do It Again doing just enough of what he's being aimed to do. He's looking extremely well, is Do It Again, and he knows this Hollywoodbets track here at Greyville like no other. So looking at the side view and the hindquarters, and here he comes, Do It Again, as I say, at 12.5 to 1. Elder de Meyer going for his first victory in the Hollywoodbets Durban July, and there's the pat, the seal of approval, as Do It Again stretches past the winning post here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. So we'll just look at that again. Number 2, Do It Again. Very, very nice, attractive odds, and an extremely good gallop this morning to start off proceedings is Do It Again. So we might see a slow-mo, but currently picture is Linebacker. Linebacker is Vaughan Marshall and Grant van Niekerk, and that's with the blue sleeves and cap. And Linebacker will be working with Look for Hounds. Yeah, just looking at the head-on again, and here's Do It Again from the front view. And as I say, Elder de Meyer, I don't think he had a crop on this also. I couldn't see it, but he hasn't asked us to do much. But Do It Again has really got that beautiful elastic-like stride, and certainly enjoying his gallop is Do It Again. I've got the time. And the time from the 400 to finish is at 25.98. 25.98. So the time we've got from the 400 to finish, 25.98 for Do It Again. That was our first gallop. And just looking at this in slow-mo, there's the smile and there's the seal of approval. And that's for Do It Again as he stretches past the winning post. Right, let's go down to Graham and Rahil.
Thank you, Craig. Well, doesn't look like a 7-year-old to me, Do It Again. He looks as if he's still got a big spring in the step, and he looks like a 4-year-old. Now, on screen now is Linebacker and Look for Hounds, but I think ahead of that is Aragoston Safe Passage. So we must just watch out, because the next gallop could well be Aragoston Safe Passage for Mike de Kock. They left the parade ring earlier, and Linebacker and Look for Hounds. Linebacker, of course, a fantastic second in the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge the other day, showing that he's absolutely on track to go one better than he did last year. He was runner-up last year in this race, and Vaughan Marshall has him spot on. So this is another gallop I'm looking forward to. Now, obviously, his companion, Look for Hounds, is a speed horse. Look for Hounds. So obviously, Linebacker might be doing a bit of work here this morning, Rahil.
It could well be, but I'm sure the instructions from Vaughan Marshall will be to Grant van Niekerk. Just give him an easy gallop and let him enjoy himself out there, and we'll see how Linebacker does go with the stable companion Look for Hounds. And as you mentioned, Linebacker ran an absolute cracker in the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, running second to Almontana, and he's had 2 prep runs going into the big one on Saturday the 2nd of July. And how do you think he could shape up in the big one?
I think he's one of the leading lights in the race. There's no doubt about that for me. You know, obviously in the Cape Town Met earlier this season, that was won by Comedy Dung beating Jet Dark and Linebacker. All 3 are in the field. But here we go with this gallop. They're going to start off nice and easily. Let's go up to Craig Peters for Look for Hounds, taking Linebacker along.
And they've settled from the 1400 metre marker. Very casual and very easy in the first 200 metres. Look for Hounds and Linebacker. Linebacker is currently on offer 11 to 2. So they're just starting to hasten up a little bit as they move towards the region of the 900 metre. And Look for Hounds under Seanville. Linebacker, this one for Vaughan Marshall. This the captain of all, owned by the Gables and the Trooters. And Grant van Niekerk in the saddle. And of course, Grant, he was a close-up second on Smanje. And there's no blinkers on Linebacker today. It is carded to race with the blinkers on the big day. So no blinkers on Linebacker today. So let's see how it goes. But they're going very casually as they move towards that 700 metre region. Look for Hounds from Linebacker. And of course, those are the silks that you'll be looking for on the big race day. The blue sleeves and blue cap in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And of course, best of luck to all connections this morning. who take part in the Gallops, and of course for the big day, as I say, on the big day, 12 races, first race 10 to 12. Now Linebacker moves out and comes to the outside rail. Look for Hounds is still on a hard hold, but so is Linebacker, the blue sleeves and cap, and Grant is not asking much of Linebacker, just showing his well-being, and he's also looking extremely well and stretching out very nicely against the bit as Linebacker, and very interesting to see why he worked without the blinkers. It is printed he will race with the blinkers on the big day. So that was Linebacker, as I say, currently the second favourite at 11 to 2 in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And just looking at this from the side view, Look for Hounds the red cap and Linebacker nearest us, and Grant's got him on a hard hold. So is Look for Hounds. They're just going through their paces, but he's also throwing out those front legs, and he's looking extremely well for the big day. Is number 4 Linebacker, and looking at the head on, and Look for Hounds is with the red cap, and Linebackers on the right hand side of your picture. We'll give you those times shortly, and here are the times. 50 from the 800 meter 51.40, and the last 400 meters 24.38. So there's a look at the front action of Linebacker, 24.38 for the last 400 meters to finish.
Welcome back to the GTV studio. There we saw Linebacker going through his paces. Now, obviously, every trainer has a different path into the big race. We mustn't forget that Linebacker raced just, 10, 12 days ago in the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge. He's very fit. So, obviously, Vaughan Marshall just keeping him ticking over. He didn't do a hard gallop, but I certainly liked what I saw. He seemed to be enjoying what he was doing. And, obviously we're just now, 9-10 days away from the big race. So the trainers have got their preparation spot on. They're going to get their timing spot on. We're going to see some horses working a little bit harder than others this morning, but it gives the opportunity to our viewers and all of those that are here at Hollywoodbets Greyville an opportunity to see these horses in the flesh a week and a bit out from the big race. And we've just on screen, Safe Passage in the blue silks, the Drakenstein silks, and Aragosta in the red and white. Two of Mike de Kock's runners, they're going to go along together.
Absolutely, Graham. It's just fascinating to see these individuals strutting their stuff, and of course Safe Passage and Aragosta have started on the gallop. So let's hand up to Craig Peters.
Thanks, Rael. And as you join us, Aragosta, that's in front, number 1 Aragosta. So that takes off in front of Safe Passage, and if you watch Safe Passage, very, very much on his toes. He was swinging around, and he's really full of himself. There's Safe Passage, and Aragosta's taking them along. They're not going hard at all, and Aragosta is in front at this stage from Safe Passage. Number 10, Safe Passage, the horse in the Drakenstein Blue Silks, is the current favourite for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, and Safe Passage is your current favourite in the Hollywoodbets Durban July as they move towards the 900 metre region. Aragosta's in front. Aragosta, of course, is the Rafif. Warren Kennedy is the big race rider for Mike de Kock, and it's owned by Mike de Kock, and also a host of owners, Nestad van der Linden and Malherbe. They're just starting to stretch it out a little bit now as they move to the 600 metre, and Safe Passage is back in second, also throwing out those front legs, working extremely well at this stage, just following Aragosta into the home stretch. Now comes around, and let's see what happens from there. So Safe Passage is the Silvano, Muzi Yeni, Mike de Kock for Drakenstein Stud, comes around, and Muzi's just gone maybe a neck half length in front, and he looks across to Warren Kennedy, and Warren will also just push on now, and let's see what happens here. Aragosta and Safe Passage, and there's absolutely nothing between the two of them. Aragosta at 14.5 to 1, that's on the far side, and number 10, Safe Passage, that is your current favourite at the moment for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, as Safe Passage and Aragosta finish alongside of each other in the big one. That is the Hollywoodbets Durban July. So both of them, I'm sure Mike will be very pleased with the gallop of both these horses. Safe Passage is currently on offer at 7 to 2. That's the ruling favourite for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. As we look at the head-on, Muzi just looked across to Warren Kennedy. There he does it again. And Warren will just click, I suppose, to Aragosta. And then they work together. There's nothing between it now. Muzi's just saying, just stretch a little bit more, my boy. And yes, Safe Passage and Aragosta. Aragosta's yet slightly slightly twisted, but I'm sure if you hear from Mike de Kock, you'll be most pleased with the paces put through. And there they look across to each other again, and that was the end of the gallop between Safe Passage and Aragosta, both from the Mike de Kock yard. All right, we're going to show a pre-recorded gallop of Puerto Manzana for Johan Janssen van Vieren. And that was pre-recorded back in Gauteng. And here's Puerto Manzana. And that is drawn 5 on the big day. It's a 33.5 to 1 shot. Apparently the rider there is Donovan Cooper. And Puerto Manzana is stretched out. That was the end of their gallop. Now we've just got the times for Safe Passage. Let's go through that. From the 800 to finish is at 50.07, and the last 400 meters 24.26. Safe Passage 24.26, and Aragosta from the 800 to finish 50.05, and the last 400 meters 24.25.
Welcome back to the studio. There we saw a pre-recorded gallop from Puerto Manzano, one of 2 runners in the race, trained by JJ van Vuren. We've got a couple of pre-recorded gallops to show you. Obviously, those are Highveld-based horses that will make their way to Durban a little later on. On screen now is number 3, Hootspruit, another runner from the Justin Snaith stable. Craig Zaki takes the ride in the colours of Suzette and Barsi Viljoen. Group 2 winner during the Cape Summer season. Hootspruit comes in nicely weighted, nicely handicapped, flying under the radar a little, but quite firm in the market. Rahil at around 14 to 1.
I know there are quite a few shrudies out there that do fancy the chances of Hootspruit, and of course it's wonderful to just have a run in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And Hootspruit, he's at some decent odds for those each-way punters, and we'll see how he does go through his gallop. He's starting to sweat up slightly, but with Craig Zaki aboard, we'll obviously see how he does go through his paces, and he's starting to gallop now. So let's end up to Craig Peters.
And Hootspruit starts off on its journey from the 1600, will work lonesome on its own. The big race rider is Craig Zaki on Hootspruit. Hootspruit is currently on offer at 14.5 to 1. This is the son of Legislate. Of course, Legislate, a winner of the Hollywoodbets Durban July, also for Justin Snaith was Legislate. And here's Craig Zaki taking Hootspruit through his paces. And this 4-year-old son of Legislate is looking good. He's not giving away much. He's on a hard hold, and he's just concentrating there on the turf is this horse Hootspruit, and Craig Zaki's actually not moving much there. He's just taking him through. What he has to do is Hootspruit. And he's going to come around shortly now towards the entrance of the straight. We're looking at them more or less on the head-on. As Hootspruit, as I say, at 14.5 to 1, the Legislate for the Viljoens. Craig Zaki, Justin Snaith, and there's the side view. There's a little bit of foam on the neck of Hootspruit. He's just starting to quicken it up ever so slightly as he moves towards that 500-meter region, coming around those dolls. And let's see as they come into the home stretch. Hootspruit working on its own, and those distinct colours you'll be able to pick out very easily on the big day. Saddlecloth number 3 in the Hollywoodbets Durban July, past the 400-meter marker, just a click or two from Craig Zaki on Hootspruit, and they're stretching out nicely. So Craig Zaki, he's obviously worked this horse today. I don't know if he's ridden it in a race, not certainly in the last 5 runs. And yes, Hootspruit just going through the paces, coming down to the last 150 metres, and number 3 on the big day is Hootspruit, and there Craig will take now hold of the reins as they go past the winning post here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. And Hootspruit, I'm sure Justin will be very, very pleased with this gallop of Hootspruit. Of course, Justin, there's the side view, is no stranger to the winner's enclosure for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, Belgarian Legislate, do it again on 2 occasions. Here's Hoedspruit coming past now and looking extremely well as well. A nice strong individual is Hoedspruit by Legislate, and of course this one bred by Wilgebusch Drift and Maritzfontein. Just looking at the head-on, and I'm just watching the arms motion of Craig Zaki. Not asking for much, probably a click or two on this Hollywoodbets Greyville turf. And is coming through now. I'll just give you those race times quickly, or those gallop times for Hoedspruit. 50.05, 800 to finish, and 24.51 from the 400 meters to finish. We're on a recorded gallop, and it's Zapatias, drawn 6 on the big day. It's for Brett Crawford. Louis Makotwa is the big race rider. That's the horse in front there, Zapatias, and is stretching out very nicely from what we can see here as well, as Zapatias in the pre-recorded gallops comes past the winning line, and Zapatias has passed by. That's at 16.5 to 1 on the big day. 16.5 to 1 on the big day. Let's cross to Graham and Rahil before they cross back to me for the next gallop.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, Zapatias, of course, a winner of the Guineas a couple of weeks ago here in KwaZulu-Natal, went back to the Highveld. That's where the Brett Crawford runners are based. So he travelled up, went back to Johannesburg. He's got to come back for the big race on the 2nd of July. But he's certainly one of the leading lights and a quality individual by Master of My Fate. Now, we did see Hoedspruit a little while ago. And interestingly, Rahil, Hoedspruit, of course, is side by the 2014 winner of this great race, Legislate. He won the race in 2014 and is represented in this year's field by his son, Hoedspruit. But on screen now is probably one of the most interesting runners in the race. He carries top weight. This is triple Grade 1 winner Jet Dark, twice the winner of the Lorman's Queen's Plate, also winner of last season's Champions Cup. He ran 2nd in the Cape Town Met when stepped up to 2,000 metres for the first time, and now he goes even further. He goes 2,200 metres under top weight. But the way he runs, Rahil, there's no reason to believe he won't get the trip. He likes to take his time in the early part of the race and really charge home in the latter stages.
Most certainly, Graham, and he absolutely flew up in the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge when he was beaten narrowly behind Almutana and Linebacker. And as you mentioned, he could well see the trip out, especially if they do go slow. And we'll see how Jet Dark does go through his paces.
Well, he was a little hesitant. He was taking in his surroundings, and he's a very fit horse. This will be his 3rd run during the champion season campaign. He ran in the Drill All Stakes. He ran in the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge. He's getting into his stride. Let's join Craig Peters.
Yes, and this is Jet Dark. As Graham said, was hesitant to go, just had to have a lead, but he's a strong son of Trippy, and it's Elder De Meyer who replaced Grant van Niekerk. So the rider there is Elder De Meyer. Of course, on the big day, Bernard Faderb is the rider of Jet Dark. Jet Dark is currently on offer 12.5 to 1. 12.5 to 1 is Jet Dark, and we know that he's capable of a big finish here. He's on a loose rein at this stage and throwing out his legs. He's enjoying his gallop at this stage is Jet Dark, and this one is for the Crow and Johnson, and bred by Drakenstein Sud. There's the side view. Nice relaxed action of Jet Dark going through his paces. And of course on the big day, Bernard Fader, Pocket Power and Marinaresco was both Bernard Fader. And these colours, they're also looking for their first Hollywoodbets Durban July victory as they come into the home stretch with just over 400 to go. And Jet Dark and Elder De Meyer, looks as though its tongue is hanging out. I don't think it's got a tongue tie on, so we'll have to just check that if it's its tongue. And it's going nice and comfortably as they come down to the last 300 metres. So here's Jet Dark. And on a loose rein, Elder De Meyer, as it comes down to the finishing post at the end of their gallop. It is Jet Dark in the Hollywoodbets Durban July gallops, and that then passes the winning post. And then we're looking at Waterbury Lane. Right, let's go to Graham and Rahil.
Thank you very much, Craig. There we saw Jet Dark being put through his paces. As I said, he's a very fit horse. He's a big horse. He's a handsome individual. He covers a lot of ground. He's going beyond 2,000 metres for the first time in his life. Will he get the trip under top weight? Bernard Faderb who won under top weight on Marinaresco a couple of seasons back, will be his big race rider. Of course, this morning he was put through his paces by Elder de Meyer, but Jet Dark is a very fit horse. Justin Snaith just keeping him ticking over. And talking about Justin Snaith, of course, he's also got former winner of this race, Bulgarian, running. And Bulgarian did all of his preparation racing down in the Western Cape and was only shipped up to KwaZulu-Natal in the last few days. And Bulgarian is back, and it's wonderful to also have former champion jockey Piers Straden back, who will be teaming up with Bulgarian. And this is Bulgarian in action. This was shortly after he arrived at Summerveld a day or so ago. So this is after he had a long road trip up from Cape Town. Winner of the 2020 July Bulgarian, and Bulgarian, of course, was just being given a little warm-up at Summerveld. Now we're watching Waterbury Lane making his way down to the 1400-metre area from where he will start his gallop. In form, Keegan de Mello rode 4 winners at Hollywoodbets Scottsville yesterday, rides for the Dean Canamere stable in the famous Rattray Silks. Now, Mr. Mike Rattray, of course, passed away a couple of months back. Norma still very much hoping that for the first time ever, these Silks can be carried to victory in South Africa's most famous race. Mr. Rattray always wanted to win this race. It never came to pass, but who knows? If this horse, Waterbury Lane, was to overcome the odds on Saturday the 2nd of July, there won't be a dry eye in the Rattray household, that is for sure, and many other households that are great supporters of the Rattray family, who have been wonderful supporters of racing and breeding for so many years. Waterbury Lane, Rahil, ran well in the Daily News 2000, gave a suggestion that he'll see out the trip. What do you make of him?
And yes, Graham, going back to the Rattrays, it could be written in the script for them with this individual. Unfortunate with Rainbow Bridge, but they do have Waterbury Lane, and as you did suggest, that he did run on nicely in the Daily News, and we'll see how he does go over 2,200. I think that he will see out the distance, and I think he's a nice shroody at around 25 to 1 in the market for the punters to include into those trifectas and quartets. And I'm just interested to see how he does go through his paces with the informed Keegan de Mello. As you touched on, Keegan is riding extremely well. He's at the top of his game, and he'll be looking to hopefully end off his season with a Group 1 event, and there's none better than the Hollywoodbets Durban July.
Waterbury Lane about to get going. Obviously, it's they're taking in the traffic, they're taking in the people. There's a lot of activity around Hollywoodbets Greyville this early in the morning. Normally they're in the tranquil surroundings at this time of the day of Summerveld, a magnificent training establishment there close to Shongweni. This is a bit new for Waterbury Lane to be out on the racecourse at this time of the day. And as you can see, he's having a good look around. He's shown a lot of class, he's shown a lot of speed. The question is, will he get the trip? He stayed on nicely in the Daily News 2000. He's getting into stride. Let's join Craig Peters.
All right, before we talk about this gallop, let me give you the times for Jet Dark. Jet Dark went from the 800 to finish 51.02, and the 400 to finish for Jet Dark 24.79. Currently on track is Waterbury Lane, and there's the soft falling rain bred by Wilgebush and Maritzfontein for the Rat Race, Keegan de Mello and Dean Canamere. And this horse is on offer at 25 to 1 as Waterbury Lane. And we'll start off from gate 7 on the big day in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And it's currently stretching out very nicely. Look how alert he is. He's throwing out his legs very nicely as Waterbury Lane. And he goes the big day, the 2,200 metres, 5 million rand at stake in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. He's about to come into the home stretch. And Keegan is just looking down that straight. He's going for his first ever win in the Hollywoodbets Durban July as well. Of course, Dean Canamere, he won it on Dynasty. Dean Canamere and Eye of the Tiger, also Dean Canamere. And here comes Keegan de Mello on the Dean Canamere trained Waterbury Lane. He's stretching out nicely. There won't be any problems. I'm sure Dean will be very happy with this gallop as Waterbury Lane comes to the end of his gallop in the Hollywoodbets Durban July of 5 million rand. So there's the crowds here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. I'm sure they're enjoying what they're seeing for their fancy on the big day. There's Anthony Del Pesh as well. And Anthony Del Pesh, of course, one of the greatest riders around. He knows the taste of success in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. There's Anthony Del Pesh. I'll be handing over to Sheldon. He'll be taking you through the rest of the gallops. Of course, Sheldon is calling his 19th July Hollywoodbets Durban July on the 2nd of July.
Head-on view of Waterbury Lane. I thought he galloped particularly well. Hill is certainly in a good space. As we heard there from Craig, we saw the crowd, nice crowd here at Hollywoodbets Greyville this morning, turning out for the free buns, coffee, and to enjoy the gallops. Anthony Del Pesh, of course, himself now the ambassador for the Hollywood Syndicate and 4 times a winner of this great race as a jockey. Keegan Demella, I'm sure, will be delighted with this workout from Waterbury Lane. He looks sharp and he looks in a very, very good space. But here's a recorded gallop of JJ Van Vuren's other runner, second base in the Verner's Silks. Second base, a multiple graded stakes winner this season. It's got a competitive weight. He's working over 1,200 metres on the sand track, and that's at Turfentine Racecourse. And of course, he'll ship up to Durban during the course of next week. And that was second base in action. And prior to that, we saw Waterbury Lane. You must have been happy with Waterbury Lane.
I was certainly pleased with his gallop, Graham, and he went through his paces fairly well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he does go in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. I do think that he'll see out the trip. And as I mentioned earlier, I think he's a nice Rudy for the punters to include into all their bets.
Well, he carries nice low weight, and obviously being a 3-year-old, there's plenty of scope for improvement. If you believe that he'll see out the trip in a true run race, he stayed on nicely in the Daily News 2000, so there's a clear indication that he could well see out the extra 200 metres. I still have a little bit of a question mark in my mind because he shows such good speed over 1,400 metres, but I'd be delighted to be proven wrong in the race. Absolutely delighted.
Absolutely, and he of course has to get the better of Pomp and Power, Safe Passage and Aragosta, who beat him in the Daily News. But I think he's a horse that he's going to improve nicely, stepping up in trip, and we'll obviously have to wait and see how he does go on the day. But next up, we see Pomp and Power on screen in the blue and grey silks.
This is going to be an interesting gallop because Pomp and Power, of course, won the Cape Derby. He ran second, an incredible second in the Daily News 2000 when you actually consider how hard he fought Richard Fourie throughout that race. And the big issue for the connections here, racing in the colours of Greg Bortz, for Richard Fourie, for Justin Snaith, is can they get Pomp and Power to settle? Can we get Pomp and Power to settle? That is going to be the question mark. But we're going to watch another pre-recorded gallop. Here is the Premier's Champions Challenge winner, Asterix, the only runner in the race, trained by Paul Peter, who saddled his 200th winner for the season the other day and is currently well clear on the Trainers' Championship, is Paul Peter. And Asterix really been put through his paces there. Sam Messiah was aboard him on that occasion, but of course Asterix will be ridden by JP van der Merwe, who steered him to victory in the big Grade 1 race at Turfentine towards the back end of May. Now, Pomp and Power is not behaving himself. He's going along with the companion who's very calm, very collected. You can see Pomp and Power's got the grey lead horse, and he's got a bit of a mind of his own, Pomp and Power. He's got the brilliance, Rahil. We saw that without question. We saw that in the Cape Guineas when he ran second under Craig Bantam, trying to go start to finish. We saw his brilliance in the Cape Derby when going start to finish and winning comfortably. Things didn't map out for him in the Daily News 2000 in the sense that he went even harder than in those previous 2 races. And this has got to be a bit of a concern. I mean, he's clearly got the ability to win. He's nicely handicapped as a 3-year-old. You don't win the Cape Derby unless you're very, very talented. He's got the right CV. Has he got the right mind to win the Hollywoodbets Durban July? That is going to be the issue.
That certainly will be the concern for the Justin Snaith team, but Richard Fourie, he does know him well. I'm sure he would have done lots of work with this individual after the run in the Daily News, and he didn't throw in the towel not once in the Daily News when beaten by Safe Passage. But we're having a look at Flying Carpet, and Graham, he did win the Grade 1 Summer Cup, of course, from the Sean Terry Yard, Calvin Abeba board, and he's going through his paces.
Yeah, he won the Summer Cup. He's unfortunately, or fortunately, drawn widest of all. That's where Comedy Ding was drawn last season, and he came through to win. Did Comedy Ding. So the 18 draw is not necessarily the worst. They're still battling with Pomp and Power. And Richard Fourie is a master of his craft. So, you know, obviously at the moment, Pomp and Power is getting the better of Richard Fourie, but we'll see who's boss in the end. And the last of the pre-recorded gallops is Nebras, who's one of the reserve runners. He's one of the top stayers, champion stayer in the country. There would be no doubt of him seeing out the 2,200 metres. He might have even, had he got a run, try to go start to finish. But Nebras in the yellow and blue silks is being put through his paces. I'm sure we'll see him later on in the season here in KwaZulu-Natal, possibly in the Gold Cup towards the end of the month, the end of July. But now, I said Richard Fourie will get the better of him eventually. Pomp and Power seems to be cooperating a lot better now. But, you know, big race day, there's going to be massive crowds. We heard last night that all restrictions are being lifted. So at this very early stage, I'm not sure how many people we will be getting to Hollywoodbets Greyville come the 2nd of July. But there's a lot of buzz around. There's certainly great excitement here in Durban. It's not just a great horse race. It's a great horse race. It's a great sporting event. It's a great social event. And to have Hollywoodbets on board is just unbelievable. They've painted this town purple. Absolutely painted the town purple.
And they're doing so much for the game, and it's wonderful that they have their name on the Durban July, the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And Graham, we're obviously going to see if Pomp and Power does enjoy the crowds, but one horse that certainly loves the crowd is the first gallop that we saw. Do It Again. He absolutely loves it here in KZN. He's a people's horse, and he enjoys it.
Yeah, he loves the big race day here in Durban, and he'll be lining up for the 5th time in this big race. Do It Again. He looked absolutely magnificent earlier, but eventually we seem to be getting the better of Pomp and Power. Our information is that he'll gallop from. There's Comedy Ding, last year's winner, the defending champion. Comedy Ding is on screen, and Gavin Larena will again be aboard him. Last year drawn 18, this year drawn 13. And there again, beautiful scenes of the Theatre of Champions, the home of the Hollywoodbets Durban July. This is Hollywoodbets Greyville, and a nice crowd turned out this morning. Perfect conditions. Eventually we're going to get going. Sheldon Peters has taken over from Craig Peters upstairs. Sheldon, talk us through Pomp and Power.
Thanks very much, Graham. As you described, Pomp and Power, and as you can see in the visuals, he's taking a hold, Pomp and Power, and the big question is, will he settle on the big race day? Of course, Hollywoodbets Durban July Day, there's going to be big crowds, and when he hears the electric atmosphere, we've seen his performance this morning, and he's hard against the steel. Grant van Niekerk's on an unnamed stable companion. We haven't been given the name of the stable companion in the white, who is doing the donkey work in front, and of course Pomp and Power, he refuses to settle back in second. Now when you look at Pomp and Power, he's a son of Vercingetorix out of the Candy Stripes mare Peru, and now the stable companion past the 700 goes too clear, and Pomp and Power a little bit more settled. As you'll see, Richard Fourie, his left rein is far higher than the right rein. His hands on the right hand side is lower, and the left hand is higher, just trying to keep Pomp and Power together. He'll even him up as they spin for home with 400 metres to go. Currently 6-1. He was the original favourite, and Richard Fourie's trying to hide him behind the stable companion, but for how long? He'll have to come alongside, and now Pomp and Power hooks out, and the stable companion's got no answer. Here's Pomp and Power, and he's going to only be able to race one way. Let rip on the big day, Hollywoodbets Durban July, unless they come up with a miracle between then and now. As we've seen Pomp and Power, he's got a mind of his own. If he takes a hold of that bridle and the bit, there's no stopping 500 kgs of horse flesh versus rider. And there you can see Pomp and Power. This is owned by Greg Bortz, Etienne Braun and the Green Acres Trust, the Shirtlives, and Justin Snaith and Richard Fourie. For the next couple of days, they're going to be scratching their heads and just trying to do one or two things with Pomp and Power. And of course, when it comes the big race day and he feels that electric atmosphere, he might be tearing away in front. And as we look at the last 200 metres, he comes to the outside of the stable companion. And if you don't believe there's going to be a pace in the race this year, All indications are that once Pomp and Power gets lit up, you might find him going 2-3 lengths clear and absolutely tearing away. The time 51.17, 800 to finish, and 24.11 as far as the 400 to finish goes. Just getting back to Nabros, who was the winner of the Marshall's World of Sport Gold Cup last year, and that is a reserve runner who'll be hoping to get in. If not, he'll be back for another crack at the Marshall's World of Sport Gold Cup. He'll be looking to go back to back, and that was that pre-recorded gallop of Nabros. Of course, Sean Terry, Heavy Metal, Pomodora, he knows exactly what it takes to get these big winners home, and Nabros, if he gets the run, he might be a factor. Just getting back to Waterbury Lane's time, 400 to finish, 50 seconds. Waterbury Lane, 50 seconds, 400 to finish, or 800 to finish, and the 400 to finish, 24.13. So the 400 to finish for Waterbury Lane, 24.13, and 50 seconds from the 800 to finish. I believe El Mutana will be ridden by Muzi Yeni, number 16. Number 12, Sparkling Water. They're both from the powerful Mike de Kock stable. Of course, when you talk of Mike de Kock, overseas campaign, a legend all around the world. If you don't know Mike de Kock, you don't know racing. And here's Sparkling Water taking command of the ship and going 2.5 lengths clear. Samanga Kamalo, the big race rider, in the lead by 2. El Mutana, number 16, he's sitting in second in those blue and white silks. And of course, El Mutana for the Shadwell Stud South Africa, the blue, the white epaulette, striped cap, coming down towards the 1,000-meter area. If you're looking at El Mutana, Muzieni will be taking through him paces. And of course, Callan Murray, the big race rider, he'll be coming to do duty and try and get the best out of El Mutana. So let's focus in on Sparkling Water. And Sparkling Water, number 12, Big Race Day, the daughter of Silvano, Wilgerbos Drift and Maritz Fontaine, owned by Mary Slack and the team. Mike de Kock, Samanga Kamalo, now starting to stretch out, got that 2-length advantage as they sweep the turn, come around the dolls. But just look at El Mutana, Muzi Yeni on a double hold, absolutely cruising in behind Sparkling Water. 400 meters to go, and now Muzieni hooks El Mutana out, and he just comes gliding up to Sparkling Water. Sparkling Water's on the left, black body and red cap, but you can see El Mutana. Muzieni is just a passenger aboard this express train as they come to the post. Sparkling Water and El Mutana, absolutely wonderful workout this morning. And once again, Mike de Kock, he holds all the aces as far as his runners go. He comes here with another lively opportunity of adding another big race to his credit. It'll be the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Sparkling Waters on the left hand side, number 12 Samanga Kamalo and El Mutana, both riders motionless as they come to the post. There you'll see El Mutana was almost clipping heels of Sparkling Water, and that's when Muzieni said, I've got so much underneath me, I've got to hook him out and move alongside Sparkling Water. And the two stable companions eyeball one another, and could that be the case on Hollywoodbets Durban July race day as they come down to the post? I believe we're going down to Warren and Rahil.
Thanks very much, Sheldon. Yeah, it certainly was, Rahil, an impressive gallop there, the de Kock pair, and a lovely, smooth, easy work.
Absolutely, Warren. Of course, we saw Aragosta and Safe Passage earlier on in the morning, and now we've seen Sparkling Water and El Mutana. And El Mutana, of course, the winner of the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge with Richard Fourie aboard. And that was a really nice win and an impressive victory from him on that occasion. And Sparkling Water, the filly taking on the boys. We'll obviously see how she does go in the race. What do you make of her chances in the big one?
Yeah, both these horses' chances, big chances, and Mike de Kock holds a strong hand. You heard from Sheldon upstairs that, of course, Mike de Kock, well known in racing around the world. He's got a strong hand, and I give these horses chances, no doubt. I had a word with Gavin Arena. I see we've got this horse Comedy Ding going now to do the exercise, and I had a word with Michelle Ricks and with Gavin Arena in the parade ring with Kevin Shea a moment ago, and they're all upbeat, they're positive, and everything's on song, and we're going to enjoy this gallop of Comedy Ding. But the camp are upbeat and they're positive, and they have every right to be.
Absolutely, Warren. It's good to hear that they are upbeat about his chances. He is, of course, the defending champion, and he'll go into the race with jockey Gavin Larina aboard. And of course, he did run in the Highveld season. Slightly disappointing for some people, but he wasn't disgraced, I feel. And we'll obviously see how he does go into the July. I would think that this is his last gallop into the main race. And Comedy Ding, can he defend his crown?
Absolutely. If he were to win now, as you know, I don't think there'd be too many disgruntled people. I'd love to see him win. He's the people's horse, and Comedy Ding certainly got a big chance. So there's Gavin Arena, cool, calm and collected as he always is, young Gavin Arena, superb rider. We're certainly blessed in this country with some superb riders. But let's go up to Sheldon. He'll take us through the gallop of Comedy Ding, and take it away, Sheldon.
Thanks very much. The hero from last year, Comedy Ding. This year he'll jump from stallgate number 13, 12.5 to 1 currently. The Harold Crawford, Michelle Ricks stable, Gavin Larina, the big race rider. Last year's defending champion, became a people's horse. He came through for Ashwin Reynolds and the entire team. You'll see Gavin Arena's taken a hold, and Comedy Ding just doing a casual, easy stretch this morning. And of course, you'll remember he did come here recently. He had a gallop. He had a nice workout, Comedy Ding. I think it was Captain Kohler who he worked alongside just to give him that look-see where he's come through before and achieved at the highest level. And Comedy Ding keeping towards the outside. He's keeping away from the dolls for the time being. And look at him stretching out. He's come back to KwaZulu-Natal. He had that little bit of a break. He's come back in fine fettle. And I'm afraid to say faultless this morning. Absolutely faultless. If you have anything negative to say about this gallop, you got no judge, because he's absolutely flying out here. Comedy Ding, Gavin Arena angles him out, and I think one of the more impressive gallops this morning. Comedy Ding doing everything that has been asked of him, coming down to the last 300 meters. Of course, last year he carried 53 kilograms. This year, plus 7 kilograms. He'll be carrying 60 kgs. Has he got what it takes to become the living legend? Here's Comedy Ding. Pricks his ears. He knows he's special. And I'm afraid to say, one of the gallops of the day. If you didn't enjoy that, a lot to be desired. Well, absolutely flawless. Now, when they come here this morning, each and every one of them should show their top potential. Even if they're not going as fast as they're going to go, they should be in 100% race-ready time. And Comedy Ding, he really raises the bar. He sets it very high this morning on what I've seen. Of course, Do It Again and the rest of them, they all looked spectacular. But at this stage, Comedy Ding, he's got the wow, the X factor on his gallop this morning. And I'm sure when you speak to Gavin Arena and the connections, they'll give him a 10 out of 10 for this showing this morning of his well-being. He's had the gallop previously. He's had this morning gallop, so it'll almost be third run after the rest, as to say, and he'll be spot on for the big race day.
Well, Raheel, you can hear the excitement in Sheldon's voice, and he's got every right to be excited, because that was certainly, you know, he does it so effortlessly. His ears were pricked. His rider, it was just galloping him with confidence, and he looks a happy, healthy horse, as do the rest of them. But there was something extra special about that. He's got a beautiful, fluent action, and wow. We're probably going to end up confusing a lot of people because there's so many good horses, there's so many good gallops, they all look so wonderful. We are in for an absolute thriller.
That's the word, Warren. Wow. It was a scintillating gallop. As Sheldon did touch on, one of the better gallops this morning. Of course, Do It Again. he galloped extremely well. Kometi Dung, he's right up there. And for me, it's between those two who galloped the best this morning. Of course, we still have to watch Red Saxon and Airways Law. But Kometi Dung, you said the connections were upbeat. And seeing that gallop gets the goosebumps.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure the smiles must be beaming from ear to ear. And Kometi Dung, based on that gallop, he certainly can defend his crown. And at 12.5 to 1 in the market, that's plenty of value about a runner that did win the race last year.
Michelle Ricks, pardon me. Michelle Ricks has just walked down the chute here to the left of our studio. If there was a photographer there that could have taken a photo of her now, there's a smile from ear to ear. She's gone down the chute to go and meet her champion. She was clearly as pleased as punch with that gallop. So to the Michelle Ricks team and Harold Crawford team, Gavin Loreen and of course Ashwin Reynolds, wow, you're going to have a few sleepless nights going as we inch closer to the big day, because that was exciting. Okay, let's go back to Sheldon. And Red Saxon also bumped into Joey Soma, a man of the turf and a man who knows how to train Group 1 winners, Joey Soma. Here is, this is for Rachel. I mean, this is history, absolute history.
Absolutely. It's so wonderful for Rachel Venica to have a Group 1 ride, and there's none better than the Hollywoodbets Durban July, Warren. Every jockey wants to win this ultimate race, and Rachel Venica, if you don't have a ticket, you don't have a chance. She certainly has a chance aboard the Joey Soma Charge Red Saxon, and he of course is the winner of the SA Classic up in the Highveld, and the Red Saxon did beat Safe Passage on that occasion. And with Rachel aboard, I'm sure she'll be hoping that he can go very well for her. Yeah. And he certainly will see how he does go through his gallop. A bit of foam on the neck, starting to sweat up slightly, and he does have a stable companion with him as well. So is there a name for the stable companion? Yes, Phantom of the Forest with Sergio
Masonga.
That's it, Sergio Masonga. And Red Saxon and Phantom of the Forest will go through their paces. So let's hand up to Sheldon Peters for the gallop of Red Saxon.
Thanks very much. Just getting back to Kometi Dung. He wasn't in my top 4 selections. And it's not often that you lost for words, but after witnessing that performance and gallop this morning of Kometi Dung, it leaves a lot to be desired. Absolutely out the top draw. All 18 runners will be primed for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. They all should be just about 99.9% ready. The final preparation just needs to be done. And of course, when you come to the big race day, you want everything to fit in like a puzzle. You want everything to be picture perfect. And if you saw that gallop of Kometi Dung this morning, gave me absolute goosebumps. And it's not too often you get those goosebumps. And on the big race day, Hollywoodbets Durban July, from now onwards, the preparation begins and the sleepless nights start. And it's up to the rider, the horse, and to each and every one of you out there to enjoy the action that will be brought to you from Hollywoodbets Greyville, home of the Durban July. Right, let's get back to Red Saxon. Now, history in the making. Rachel Venica climbing the ladder, showing her worth. And of course, Joe Soma, a trainer that knows how to get these big race winners, tuned to the moment. What a wonderful man Joe Soma is over the years. And of course, when it comes to training, he's trained the likes of Got the Green Light and some top flight performers. Yeah, he has a chance with number 14, Red Saxon. Rachel Venica, they'll jump from the 800 with Phantom of the Forest. Sergio Msonga will be the rider of Phantom of the Forest, the work rider. And of course, Rachel Venica making history, the lady jockey. White sleeves and cap, black body with the yellow sash. Maybe they can get that elusive sash. Now, when it comes down to the Durban July, it's a new era. It's now the Hollywoodbets Durban July. If you look at the honours roll, wow, it's out of this world. And a record 5 million rand stake up for grabs. Red Saxon, just building up a little bit of a lather, is starting to sweat up a bit, as is the stable companion. Red Saxon for the Barners and Somers, bred by the Narrow Creek stud, a son of Red Ray. Out of the Casey Tibbs mare, Rodeo Sue. Grade 1, SA Classic winner, second leg of the Triple Crown. Red Saxon on the right-hand side. And when it comes to the Hollywoodbets Durban July, it holds a place like no other sport in South Africa. This is the ultimate. Every trainer, jockey, owner, breeder, they want success. They want to be on the honours roll. And when it comes down to racing, the entire country and worldwide, they come to a standstill. KZN, Hollywoodbets Durban July, just around the corner as the fever builds each and every day. The stable companion is sideways, and Red Saxon as they make their way towards the 800. As my dad mentioned earlier on, it'll be my 19th July call, so it'll be the first Hollywoodbets Durban July, and my dad's 36th call. He'll be doing the Super Sport crossing. So just as each and every rider, owner, punter, anybody interested in the sport of horse racing, it's a special sport this. We look forward to the big race day. This is what we live and dream for as the next gallop commences. Phantom of the Forest just hacking along by 2. Red Saxon, Rachel Vinegar, she's got golden hands. She gets Red Saxon to half settle in second, but they're going so slow. Red Saxon just coming here for a breeze up this morning, and Phantom of the Forest gonna come to the turn with just on 500 to go, and then you'll see Red Saxon hooked to the right-hand side, and as they come homeward bound with just on 450 meters to go, Red Saxon just looms large and comes cruising through. Something of the equipment of the stable companion might have just popped out at around the 450. You would have noticed something popped out there, but Red Saxon will focus on those white sleeves and cap with the distinguishing markings. And here's Red Saxon, if you fancy, coming through. And Red Saxon, Joe Soma, they'll be having a full go with Red Saxon. And of course, Rachel Vinegar, it's her time to shine. She's shown exactly what she's capable of. Look at her balance, look at her style. She gets difficult horses to respond to her, as we've seen in the past, and the ladies will be shouting, "Go Rachel Vinegar," all the way to the post in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Homeward bound, Phantom of the Forest on the left-hand side. The work rider swinging onto this individual. Feet high up in the irons and deep towards the chest. And there you can see Rachel Vinegar just gives a click or two to Red Saxon. And those legs are really pumping like pistons. Coming down to the winning post, Red Saxon showing the well-being. And who knows, dreams are made on this big day, the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And could it be Red Saxon and Rachel Vinegar, Joe Soman, the connections, names to go up in lights? We're still waiting on Airways Law. Currently in picture, Grant van Niekerk. So we'll be waiting for Airways Law. And then I believe Silver Darling. And wait for it, Captain's Ransom. She'll be here this morning to strut her stuff. And that's the gallop we'll be really looking forward to. Captain's Ransom will give you a rundown of her CV when she gallops. So I believe Silver Darling and also Captain's Ransom, they will be galloping. But here is Airways Law for the Andre Nell team. Gareth Wright, they pop away from the 800 meter mark. And of course, Airways Law, number 19 at this stage. So they'll be looking to get into the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Coming to the last 300 meters for Sabine Plattner. Here is Airways Law. His secret weapon is his turn of foot. His acceleration is remarkable. That 400 to finish, when he turns on the jets, you can clear the runway. Here's Airways Law, the flashy chestnut individual. And Airways Law, a son of Legislate, a former winner of the July, comes down to the business end. He's been here before, he's done it. And let's see if he gets a chance on the big race day. Nice side-on shot of Airways Law, who's shooting up the ladder, and Gareth Wright, Byron Forster, and the entire team from day one. When he won the maiden, they said he's a cracker. He just needs time, and once he puts it together, you'll see the best of Airways Law. He's out of the Jet Master mare, beautiful Jet. Of course, he won the Cup Trial, beating Mount Anderson. Reserve 1, Airways Law, having a breeze down the last 150 meters. He comes on the fresh strip on the extreme outside. 24.81. 400 to finish. 24.81 as he stares into the camera. And if he gets to get that lucky break, and he has a chance in the big one, the Hollywoodbets Durban July, the sky is the limit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to Captain's Ransom, there's not many that can match her CV. She's a born leader from day one. She won her opening 2 races over sprint trips. We'll give you a breakdown. Recently, Grade 1 SA Filly Sprint 1200 victory, scintillating over the distance. Grade 1 Mallorca Stakes 1600. The Grade 1 Paddock Stakes over 1800 meters twice. She then won a Pinnacle. She's won the Grade 3 Diana Stakes twice over 1400 meters. The Grade 2 Fillies Guineas and KZN. The Grade 1 Cape Fillies Guineas over 1600 meters. No less than 5 Grade 1 victories. Captain's Ransom. Silver Darling at the moment is coming towards the last 100. So all eyes on Captain's Ransom, but look at the track. Here's Silver Darling just having a stretch this morning. So Silver Darling and Grant van Niekerk now coming past the post. So if you manage to get a glance of Silver Darling, she's just come past the winning post. And as can be expected, Captain's Ransom, yeah, she is, to show her well-being. She's on a double hold. Richard Ferree, he knows her like the back of his hand, and she's keen to get a move on. She wants to add another Grade 1 race to her CV. Captain's Ransom just having a look across, moving towards the 900 meter area, and really just stretching out magnificently, head just slightly sideways. That's because she wants to go. Richard Ferree has her on a double handful coming to the last 600 meters, and of course Captain's Ransom, come big race day, it's going to be exciting stuff. I can't wait to call Captain's Ransom on Hollywoodbets Durban July Day. She'll be taking her part in the big race, the Garden Province. And as they come to the last 300, there you can see Captain's Ransom just gliding through. She'll be coming through with flying colours and coming down to the last 100 metres. The Brentford FC Garden Province Stakes, Grade 1. Her name is Captain's Ransom. She'll be number 8. Draw 8 on the big race day. 16:45. That's the time. The gate should crash back as Captain's Ransom looks for another victory. 13 runs. Victorious. So 13 times victorious. 1 place. 2,356,000 rand. Here's a look at Captain's Ransom as they sweep the turn, coming to the last 300 metres. Absolutely gliding through. And when it comes big race day, Richard Ferree, 13 runs, 11 wins and 1 place. So let's get the record 100% straight. The 13 runs, 11 victories, the 1 placing, 2,356,000 rand in stakes. And she'll be looking to add another Grade 1 victory.
Thank you, Sheldon. Thanks very much. And Raheel, let's quickly get your comment on Red Saxon, because Red Saxon galloped. Joe Soma, Rachel Venica. Tell us about Red Saxon.
I think he went through his paces fairly well, Warren, with the Rachel Venica board. I think she just had to give him a slight nudge to get his mind on the job, but he did go through his paces fairly well, and I'm sure Joey Soma will be happy with the gallop of Red Saxon and of the stable companion Phantom of the Forest as well, who galloped together. And of course we saw Airways Law as well, Warren.
One of your favourite horses.
Absolutely, Warren, yeah, definitely. I was hoping that he got into the big one, but unfortunately he is reserve 1. Hopefully, maybe the stars could be aligned for this individual, that someone does get a scratch, unfortunately for someone. But we'll have to wait and see if Airways Law does obviously get in. But he does take his part in the consolation race. That's race number 3, which is the 2,200 meter race, a grade 3 event. And it looks to be the one that they all have to beat in that lineup. But going back to the gallop, I think he did go through it fairly well. Ears pricked with Gareth Wright in the irons. And what were your thoughts on his gallop?
Yeah, absolutely. No, lovely horse. He was just he hardly put any effort in. He wasn't even really pressed, but he's certainly impressed. Talking about impressed, the last gallop we saw, of course, was Captain's Ransom, and that's going to be a lot of the punters on the day's banker in the other feature, and certainly. Wow, what a top quality individual, and that gallop too was also impressive. But as you said, never came out of cruise mode.
Absolutely, Warren. She was in cruise mode the whole way, and Captain's Ransom, she's a champion. She's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. As Sheldon touched on, 11-time winner from just 13 starts. Disappointing last year in the Garden Province, but she's back this year to make amends for efforts last year, and she is the horse to beat. As you touched on, she looks to be the banker on the day, many people's banker. And I think Captain's Ransom is the type of horse that you play your all-to-comes, your multiples with. And in the Garden Province, I think she's going to take a power of beating. It isn't as strong of a race. And I think she is the one that's going to show them a clean pair of heels. She's a top-class individual, Warren. And I'm sure for Suzette and Barcy Falloon, they must be super impressed and happy with the gallop. And of course, the Justin Snee team and Richard Fourie, who knows her extremely well.
It certainly does, but Captain's Ransom, a lot of people's banker on the day, and you're quite right, the owners will be making their way down to the coast very soon to come and watch this star filly. But Sheldon's upstairs, we're going to talk to him, and we'll come back to you.
Thanks very much, Warren and Raheel. As I mentioned, the Brentford Football Club Garden Province Stakes, Grade 1 over 1,600 metres. Around 3 to 10 is Captain's Ransom, the darling of the turf. She has golden hooves, and her time, 51.09.800 to finish. And the 400 to finish without much fuss, 24.69. 24.69. And we're really looking forward to the Hollywoodbets Durban July. We've seen the gallops this morning. And after the big race, of course, the Brentford Football Club Garden Province Stakes. I'll be under quite a bit of pressure to bring home captain's Ransom, and I'm sure she won't let the team down. So thanks very much to everybody joining us this morning for the Gallops. Absolutely scintillating. You've witnessed some top flight performers, and as we mentioned, the honours roll over the years. This is the one and only race that you want on your CV.
He's quite right, Raheel. Sheldon is 100% correct. This is the race you want on your CV. And it's there's top quality races all around the country, but there's just something about the Hollywoodbets Durban July. That buzz. As I said to you the other day, it's that bug that we've been bitten, that African horse sickness bug that's bitten us. And it's just the most amazing vibe, the most amazing feeling, the most amazing time of the year. We just can't, talk enough about it.
Absolutely, to win the Hollywoodbets Durban July, it will be a dream come true for for most jockeys out there, and it could be a first, it could be a second, it could be a third for some individuals. And of course, Pierce Radom, he's got the ride aboard Bulgarian. He's aiming for 5 Durban July wins. That's simply incredible if he manages to pull that feat off.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just going to be a great day's racing, and I believe the ticket sales for the day are going well. And if you haven't got your ticket, there's not too many tickets left, so get yourselves a ticket to get you for the big day, because my oh my, it's going to be fantastic. But now we've got Graham Hawkins waiting with his colleagues and friends, who's got a lovely quick panel discussion for us. Please don't stray or go away, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us here at Hollywoodbets Greyville. Come and have a cup of coffee with us down in the front of the grandstand. We're going to mingle with you, we're going to be with you and enjoy some coffee with you. For now, we're going to Graham Hawkins.
Thank you, Warren, and welcome to the most important place at Hollywoodbets Greyville following the running of the 2022 Hollywoodbets Durban July. This is the winners' enclosure, and I'm joined by legends of the turf, royalty of the turf, previous winners of this great race. On my left-hand side, twice a winner, Kevin Shea. Kevin, welcome.
Thanks, Graham. Lovely to be here. Beautiful morning, and let's get on with the show.
Kevin, you've only won it twice. The man on my right's won it 4 times. 4 times a winner. Dating all the way back to the 90s. Classic Flag was your first ever July winner, Anthony. And now you're the face of the Hollywood Syndicate.
What a fantastic honor to be face of Hollywoodbets. And it's fantastic this morning to see so many people at the races. And you know what? Looking forward to this July.
And of course, great news coming through for South Africa last night. All restrictions are being lifted, so we're looking forward to a real buzz. But the reason I've got these 2 gentlemen with me is we've just seen the Gallops. If you're sitting at home, you've watched them from home. If you're part of this massive crowd here, you've watched them here. But who better than to give a view of how the Gallops really went, the impressions of each and every horse that was seen here today, than Kevin Shea and Anthony Delpeche. So let's get straight into it. The first Gallop today, Aragosta and Safe Passage, they teamed up for Mike de Kock. He's got 4 runners in the race. He sent them out in pairs. So let's have a look at Aragosta and Safe Passage as they go over the last 400 meters. We're going to pick up the Gallop from the 400. There we go. Aragosta on the left, Safe Passage on the Drakenstein Silks on the right, Daily News 2000 winner on the right, and Aragosta was third on the left, but he's the Derby winner. Anthony, your impressions?
Well, I preferred Aragosta's Gallop. I thought Warren is saving it for the races, and for me, Muzi was trying to see how much is there in the tank, And, I think Warren's professional. He knows today's not the race day, but I preferred his Gallop.
Your impression, Kevin?
Yeah, I was very impressed, Graham. I've watched Aragosta improve, and I thought his last run was very good, and I can see the improvement. For me, I'm going to lean a little bit towards Aragosta, but no disrespect. Safe Passage was a very good, facile winner last time.
So you didn't only watch the Gallop, but you also saw them in the ring. So you saw them before they went out, you saw them after they came back, and it's just as important to get an impression of the horse's well-being in the ring this morning and then watching them work. Same impression in the ring. Did you prefer Aragosta to Safe Passage?
Well, as Mark's horses, both looked very, very well, but I've watched them in the last 3 weeks, the improvement before the last runs up until now, and I think Aragosta might have the edge.
Well, there you go. Anthony Delpeche and Kevin Shane. I'm not going to argue with these two gentlemen. They've ridden 6 times winners in this great race, so I'm not going to argue. They've marginally preferred Aragosta to Safe Passage, but the form book of the Daily News 2000 suggests it could be the other way round. And let us not forget that Safe Passage is currently the favourite. The last time Mike de Kock won this great race was with the help of the man on my right, and I think that was Igugu in 2011, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah. Well,
okay, and of course both these guys have won the big race on fillies, but we'll come to that in a little while. Let's have a look at my fancy for the race. A horse with a great CV in the July, twice a winner, twice placed, trying to become the first 7-year-old to win since the 1940s. Let's have a look at Do It Again. I thought he presented himself so beautifully. I'll start with you, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. What can we say? He's a magnificent animal. He's moving so well. I watched the gallop next to Nick, and Nick's very impressed as well. Graham, personally myself, I think everything's got to go right for him. He was a little bit unlucky last time. He ran into a bit of a pocket. If everything goes right for him and he gets a clear passage, I think he'll be running at them and he'll definitely be in the shake-up. I can't leave him out, but I think he's going to have to pick up his feet.
Your impressions, Anthony? I would have preferred to see him drawn a little more wider than the stall gate of 2. I'm not sure that's in his favour, but he looked exceptional today.
yes, the draw is a concern because he's a horse that doesn't have that early speed. But what I like about him is he's a professional. You could just see when he gets onto the track, he knows what it's all about. And they didn't come here today to show how good he is. I thought it was a very good gallop. He's a big runner.
And he grows an extra leg here in KwaZulu-Natal. Let's have a look at last year's runner-up. And of course, runner-up in the recent Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge. I'm talking about the Vaughan Marshall trained linebacker. He worked along with his stable companion, Look for Hounds. Let's pick up the action over the last 400 metres. He's spot on. He's having his third run of the season. Anthony, that's linebacker in the blue and white silks of Ken Truder. Were you satisfied with what you saw?
I thought he worked very well, and he was very keen in his gallop, and I see that he's got blinkers on the race there. That is my biggest concern. Is he going to settle with the blinkers? But he's got a beautiful draw, and I thought it was very good work this morning.
Proper horse, Graham. I must say, earlier on he was my fancy. His plan towards the July is just hesitating me. I don't know if he's 100% or not, but now the blinkers on.
Wow, Kevin, unplaced in the drill all, a cracking second in the Gold Challenge. Surely he's spot on.
Yeah, I understand, but I'd like to have seen him in the betting. Second favourite. I thought he'd be the horse they all got to beat. He just seemed to have drifted off the boards.
No, he still has plenty of followers. In fact, I think he's around 11-2, well in the market. But let's go to the other Mike de Kock pair, Sparkling Water and the recent Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge winner, El Mathana. Sparkling Water, the only filly in the race. El Mathana and the Hamdan Silks, the Sheikh Silks. These two going along together.
Yeah, very nice. Two lively contenders, I think, both big runners. I know Mike personally himself likes the filly as well. She's as hard as nails, and I thought he just brought her here to have a look, and she looked very well in the ring. Her coat is shining. She loves a hard ride. I think she's definitely a runner.
Anthony, your impressions?
My side, I'm going to go with El Mathana. I think he's a horse that had problems coming before the season here, and his last run he wasn't spot on. I think he's a horse.
Will he stay?
I think with de Kock, they got to stay. You're talking about a man that makes anything stay. They will stay. And I think he's a horse that's improving. I think he's going to be spot on the day.
Now, both of you guys have worked very closely in the past with Mike de Kock. Here we are on Thursday morning at the Gallops, about 10 days out from the big race. What is Mike's plan from here on with all four of his horses?
Well, they're most probably almost spot on. And one thing about when you come here, Mike de Kock does want to show them up. It's here, we've got to do it, it's for the public. They've got them ready. Next week they'll just be playing around, keeping them happy and make sure that nothing goes wrong and get home safely. They're all spot on.
Okay, let's move on to one of 5 runners from the Justin Snaith stable that are in the race this year. Hoedspruit, Craig Zaki takes the ride for this Grade 2 winner in the Western Cape Summers season. Hoedspruit sporting the colours of Suzette and Barsi Viljoen. Here is Hoedspruit in action. Kevin, What did you think?
Yeah, I was surprised to see him on his own. He's a big animal. I thought maybe something to pull him along, but there was a lot of talk about this horse earlier on, and that I just don't think he's improved as much as some of the others around him have. I don't say he's not out of it, but I just think others have got the better of him.
Of course, Hoodspruit is sired by the 2014 winner of this great race, Legislate. Waterbury Lane. Keegan DeMello, 4 winners yesterday at Hollywoodbets Scottsville, having his best season ever. What's missing from his CV is a victory in South Africa's greatest horse race. He rides for his boss, Dean Caname, in the famous Rat Race Silks aboard Waterbury Lane, who caught the eye when running 4th in the Daily News 2000. Maybe he's answered the question as to whether he will stay, but he goes an extra 200 metres. But Anthony, I thought he looked out of this world.
He did look very well. He galloped very well. And, you know, if he's going to have a jockey that is going to be able to get him to settle and stay, is Keegan. And Keegan has come along a long way, and he's put his hands up now and showing that he is one of the top riders around.
Good look at him in the ring, Graham. He's really furnished into a lovely animal. And as we said, for Mr. Rattray, the late Mr. Rattray, wouldn't that be a lovely little blessing for him?
Yeah, he so dearly wanted to win this big race, never did. But Norma will be here on the day to shout for Waterbury Lane and for the Rattray family. Now, possibly the most interesting gallop of the morning. We saw him fighting Richard all the way in the Daily News 2000. He wasn't that well behaved here at the Gallops this morning. I'm talking about Pomp and Power, of course, the Cape Derby winner. So let's get into the last 400 metres of Pomp and Power's gallop. He took a while to get going. He didn't want to cooperate, but eventually he settled down. Does he have the mind? Anthony, you're such an experienced champion jockey. You've ridden all over the world. Does he have the mind to win a July?
That's a big concern. You're going to have a big crowd here, and his temperament is his biggest problem. And I'm really concerned about him. And he hasn't got the best of draws. He's got to settle. He's got a lot against him.
Kevin, you saw him in the ring. You saw him before they went out. You saw him playing around on the track. You saw the gallop. Would you like to ride him?
I'd love to ride him. I'd like to ride him a month ago. Yeah, it is a very big concern, like Anthony says, on these big days with big crowds and that, you want them as quiet as possible. It is a concern. If he settles and he gets around here in one piece, he's a big runner. If he drops the ball anywhere, I think he's going to have it all to do.
Last year's winner, Comedy Dunk. He sparkled this morning. He's on track. Let's watch him in action and hear what my two colleagues on my right and my left have to say. Kevin, I'll start with you.
Well, what can we say? He must be the most beautiful animal we've ever seen. He looked magnificent in the ring. He looked well, he galloped well, and like Sheldon said earlier, if this doesn't bring you to the races, nothing will bring you. He really looks well. He's got it all to do. He hasn't got 53 like he had last year. He's got more weight to carry. But wow, Graham, what more do you want to see from a horse that looks like that?
Must have pleased you, Anthony.
Well, you get those horses that when they get to the races, they show their work. And he's one of those horses that came here. He was probably the best gallop. But his preparation is a big question mark.
Let's move on to the Triple Grade 1 winner, Jet Dark. Interesting runner, second in the Cape Town Met over 2,000 metres, tackles the trip for the first time. But the way he races, he could see it out. Let's have a look at Jet Dark going through his paces over the last 400 metres. He will, of course, be ridden by Bernard Faydurb, who steered Marineresco to victory under top weight. Can he do it?
He's got the right jockey. He's got a jockey that's got the temperament to win big races. And Bernard has proven that he can win big races. And I think he's a dark horse. I think he's a horse.
He's a jet dark horse.
He was given a lot to do last time. I think he gets in the right position. He'll be there in the finish.
Yeah, I can't agree with Anthony even more. Lovely horse, big runner. He's proven how good he is. Right jockey.
Impressive looking horse.
Impressive looking horse. In the ring afterwards too. Really just came back. It looks like he owns the place.
Well, as a Triple Grade 1 winner and a hero of the racetracks, he certainly won't be out of place in any paddock, in any stud farm. He absolutely is a stunning son of Trippy, is Jet Dark. Now, Rachel Veneker is all about making history. Joe Soma's about making history. The first female jockey ever to ride in this great race. And we are 126 years old. That's how old the Hollywoodbets Durban July is. Let's have a look at Red Saxon, the SA Classic winner. going through his paces under Rachel Vinegar. He was given a very easy gallop today. They sort of dawdled to the top of the stretch, and then she just let him glide through his hands, but he's got a wonderful action, Kevin.
Yeah, beautiful mover. When he came past us, you could see it, but it's all about Rachel. It's her first July ride. It's a magnificent day for her, and wouldn't it be history if your first ride as a female in this great horse race is a winner with something very special. But let's see, Joey's been a bit unlucky, I think, in the last 2 Julys, and he deserves a winner, and a good friend of mine as well.
Jumps out of the same stall, it's got the green light. Stall gate 14, your impressions?
Well, it's a big test for Rachel, but she's put her hands up and she showed that she can ride. It's a difficult draw, and I'm concerned the straight might be too short for him. I think he wants a longer run in, but his work was good this morning.
Airways Law is reserve 1 for the big race, so he's saddlecloth number 19. Should he come into the race, he will inherit the draw of whatever he replaces, but he did get put through his paces this morning by Gareth Wright for the Andre Nell stable in the Sabine Platinum colours. So let's have a look at the closing stages of Airways Law's gallops. He, of course, raced not too long ago. He's a very fit horse. He's a rising star. He's unbeaten as a gelding. What do you think, Anthony?
His work is very good. He's a horse, obviously, that's got to be dropped back. And you know the way the racetrack is run, he's got to hope for a lot of luck because... but I think he's the kind of horse that's got that turn of speed. So if he did get a run the last 200 meters, he'll be shown up. But I still think he's got a lot to improve to beat this field.
We have a couple of pre-recorded gallops that we're going to quickly run through that were recorded on the Highveld and one recorded here at Summerveld. Obviously, the runners from the J.J. Van Vuren stable, the Brett Crawford stable, the Paul Peter stable, and Sean Tarry stable, they're all still on the Highveld. Bulgarian only travelled up from the Cape just the other day. So let's have a quick look at Puerto Manzano. So there we go, that's Puerto Manzano. It's a short clip, Kevin. What do you make of this horse?
Yeah, he looks well, Graham. I don't know much about him, but I mean, he's good enough to be there. But yeah, he looks like he's moving well, but he's got to get out the cold and get down to the warm Durban.
I'm sure he's looking forward to that. Zapatias from the Brett Crawford stable. Of course, we've seen him already here in KwaZulu-Natal this season. He came up here to win the WSB Guineas on the opening day of the season. In a madly fought-out finish, Zapatias got the upper hand. So let's have a look at Zapatias. He's a quality individual. He's a good colour, this horse. He's on the far side, Anthony. And I'm going to ask you a specific question in your mind as we watch him go through his paces. Is it a disadvantage being trained on the Highveld, coming up to KwaZulu-Natal, going back to the Highveld, coming back for the big race? Is that a concern for you?
It has got to be a concern, you know, but these trainers, Brett Crawford, he knows what he's doing. And anything I like about this horse, and we look at the race and we look at the pace, there's not going to be a lot of pace. This horse might be in front, having a picnic in front, and might have things his way. And he's not a bad horse.
Former winner of the race is Bulgarian. He arrived in KwaZulu-Natal during the past 48 hours. He was just basically taken off the truck and put onto the track. Pierre Stradum is back to ride him after a long break as a result of an eye injury. So here is Bulgarian, not giving away too much. That's understandable. He raced fairly recently in the Western Cape and obviously just stepped off the float and onto the sand tracks. So Justin Snaith just gave him an opportunity to stretch his legs. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, he looks very well, Graham. You know, he's been here, he's done it, he's bought the T-shirt, he's got Striker Stradum on. The horse looks fit. I hope Striker's fit.
Well, I was wondering whether Striker would have been here for a gallop. I would like to see him come from the 200 metres and stretch out to show his fitness. But he'll be here on Sunday riding Nexus, I believe. Second base is stable companion to Puerto Manzano from the J.J. Van Vuren stable. Second base, twice a winner of a graded race this season. Let's have a look at him in action. Wearing, of course, the Verner's silks. He's the near side in the red sleeves and the red cap. Carries a nice handy weight. Won a grade 3 and a grade 2 this season. There's second base being put through his paces. But let's have a look at the next gallop, because that is the Paul Peters, champion trainer-elect. He saddled his 200th winner just the other day, and his horse Asterix won the Grade 1 Premier's Champions Challenge at Turfentine, and my goodness, he was put through his paces here, Anthony.
Yeah, he got a bit of hard work, and he's also a horse that I'm concerned that the track might not suit him. I think he might be a horse that might want a little bit of a longer run in if you watch the way he won. But listen, Paul Peters at the moment can't do anything wrong.
Yeah, look, he obviously got a massive penalty for winning the Grade 1 Premier's Champion Challenge. This is a different kettle of fish. At the weights, I think he's got a tough task, but he certainly went through his paces well enough. Flying Carpet, the Summer Cup winner, is the second to last horse that we'll be having a look at this morning in the company of Kevin Shea and Anthony Del Peche. He's got the worst draw of all. Kevin, here's Flying Carpet. Actually, he seemed to be moving quite well, but he hasn't been able to win a progress plate in recent times.
Yeah, that's the problem at the moment, but he is moving well. You can see he's striding well, and these Joburg horses, they come down here fit. And as Anthony alluded to, pace I think is going to be a big problem this year in the July, especially a horse like Pomp and Power. If they're going slowly, you might be pulling. The best horse always wins when they go the best pace. So.
Well, let's hope we get a genuinely run race, and Flying Carpet has it all to do from the outside gate, but whether Kelvin Abib and Sean Terry decide to go forward or not, that we'll have to wait and see. Sean Terry, of course, saddled Pomodoro and Heavy Metal, back-to-back victories in this great race. The last gallop, we stay with Sean Terry. It's reserved 2. It's our champion stayer, Nebras. He's reserved 2 in the race. He sports the famous blue and yellow silks. He's in a good space. He's being worked over 1,200 metres here down the straight at Reinkiesfontein. So, Nebras, obviously, it may be a stretch for him to get in, but could be bigger fish to fry at the end of the season, the Gold Cup.
Well, most probably the Gold Cup will be his race, but he's a horse that wants to win races. He's a gutsy horse, and pity he didn't get in, but maybe the Gold Cup is his race.
Yeah, maybe if he got in, he would have been the pace setter. So there we go. We've been through all the gallops. You've heard the views of our 2 legends of the turf, Kevin Shea and Anthony Del Peche. Kevin Shea, of course, won on Epitombi. He won on Dancer's Daughter. Now I'm going to test my memory. I know your first winner was Classic Flag, Bull Silvano, Igugu, and Gray's Inn. Have I got it right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Those all bring back memories. My last word from these 2 gentlemen. It's not a panel discussion. We were just analysing the gallops. But look, everybody wants to hear what you fancy. So when it comes down, as of now, we've still got 10 days to change our minds, and many of these guys are going to change their minds continuously over the next couple of days. You're 1 and 2. Your exactor.
12 and 2. Waterbury Lane and Do It Again.
Anthony, Waterbury Lane is his camp.
Can't have it. I don't think he'll stay.
I can't have it either, brother. I can't have it either. But I'd love it to win. I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to go Aragrasta. I think he's my horse. I think he's got the right draw. He's got the right jockey on, and safe passage. Mike first and second.
Mike first and second. Obviously, having ridden for him for so many years, that's almost predictable. I think Do It Again's the right horse. But I want to ask you one last question. You are now Warren Kennedy. You're riding Aragosta. No horse has won from the 1 gate for many, many years. What is your tactic as those gates open? You riding Aragosta, you fancy him. You've been given license to do what you want to do. What would you be deciding at the gates?
Well, the first most important thing is you've got to make sure that you come out well. And I would ride him for the first 200 meters to hold my position, and then to see where the pace is going to come. For me, Warren, let one horse lead him. I don't think there's going to be a lot of pace in the July, and I think he's the right horse. I just think the draw has brought him into the race to beat Safe Passage.
Okay, there we go. We've run out of time. We trust you've enjoyed the presence of Kevin Shea and Anthony Del Peche. Between them, they've won 6 Julys. They've won internationally at Group 1 level all over the world. Thanks for joining us here at Hollywoodbets Greyville today as we say cheerio and build up to the big day on Saturday, the 2nd of July.